The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello there, can you hear me? It's Despina here from Global Ballooning. Now, this is my first time doing a webinar, so bear with me as I get a grasp on the housekeeping of it all. So I know that a few of you can't make it tonight, but I am recording the session, and you'll be able to receive it when it's completed. So I'll get started. If you can now, what can happen is that you can type in a question that I can see. Feel free to enter a question at any time, and I believe there should be like a little hand that you can also see if you wanted to get my attention. So if you can do any of these things to let me know that you're there, just type in yes or no, and hopefully we're we're all good to go. But I will kick on as we proceed with this webinar, the first for me for your tourism excellence, which is a kind of a subsidy of Institute of Excellence, a coaching practice I commenced a few years back in 2011 after completing a diploma and studies in NLP. So I wanted to kick off really by firstly saying thank you. Thank you for showing interest and thank you for showing up. And thank you for your support. It's really much appreciated, and yeah, I'm very grateful. So what this webinar really is all about is really just setting in place some key elements of making the new year 2014 a really good one for your life and your business. It's certainly targeted to the small business community in the tourism industry. But what I'd like to think that the content that we'll share with you is very much can be applied to any industry or any business for that matter. And in the same token, I mean, it's general principles in business, but again, it's really it's quite generic in whatever that you know whatever kind of goals that you want to set. Because I know a few of you that are on the call aren't actually necessarily from tourism industry. That I know you from other other ways, you know, through um, family and friends and other communities. So I hope that you can get a lot of value. That's certainly why I'm here. There's been some gold that's been shared with me over these years through the various trainings, and it's too good to keep to myself. So, well, I guess a lot of this has come from writing a book this year, Adventures of a Balloon Girl, and that's really to celebrate being at 10 years at Global Ballooning, which is celebrating in Jan, and thought that would be a really good way to capture the experience of what I'd like to think is growing up with with a small business, and the key learnings from that, combined with, of course, the coach and training work that I've been heavily involved in. So what does it mean as we look forward? Really, we reflect on the year that was, and it is different for everybody, different experiences and different outcomes that we've all experienced individually. But what I guess we want to do is take all the learnings and really just look forward to having an outstanding year in 2014. And what that means, I guess, what does that mean for you? So if like if there's any questions, please interrupt me. If there's any, I'm really open to feedback and really open to to give me a shout out at any point of the session. Please feel free to interrupt. I'd love it to be as engaging as possible. So as you set your intentions for this, and I hope like I said, it's of something of value. And as we move forward, so having the best year yet, what does that mean to you moving forward in 2014? So I guess what having the best year yet, sometimes what can hold us back is this fear. And what that fear normally consists of is three things. And these are universal. Everybody, to some extent, greater or lesser, has been at the experience of these three universal fears. And they are really, to spell them out for you, it's number one, fear of failure or not being good enough. Number two, of fear of not belonging, or number three, fear of not being loved. So all of these universal fears, I mean, they're very limiting in what is possible within our realm of business or life, and they can also, I mean, they definitely hold us back. So one of the gold questions in moving forward, and certainly since this question was posed to me some time ago, is that the question of what would you do if you knew you could not fail? I mean, it's a beauty when you come up with uh, things that may excite you, but you know will also challenge you, and challenge one, two, all, or some of those universal fears. This is a brilliant question to ask yourself. What would you do if you knew you could not fail? I mean, sky would be the limit, uh, wouldn't it? Really, if you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do? And certainly, when the question was posed to me to write a book, um, this is when I asked myself that question, Adventures of a Balloon Girl really was born out of that what would I do, and so you should write a book or come along and write a book. Okay, what would I do here if I knew if I could not fail? Of course I'll write a book, yes, and here we are. But yeah, prior to that, I wouldn't say prior to that, I did go through all of those universal fears. I'd be lying if I told you that I didn't. But it's kind of breaking through that to say, well, if I knew that I couldn't fail, if I trusted myself that, hey, this would be something, have an opportunity to meet some new people, have an opportunity to do something that will really stretch me and challenge me and experience and grow what I know, share what I know, then it was like, let's just say yes and see what happens. And although it's not out yet, so far it's been an extraordinary year of learning and connection. So moving right along, and I hope as I'm going through this, like I said, I'm happy to be interrupted at any point. If as we move right along, I mean, I hope you've got a notepad and pen and writing this down and really asking this for yourself, for whatever it is that if it's a project that you want to work on, if it's an idea that you want to give life to, if it's a connection that you want to make, whatever it is, this is a brilliant question to ask yourself. Another one, really, that I should add to that is, what's the worst that could happen? Really, what's the worst that could happen? You'd find, nothing. Fear, something that someone shared. Fear, the emotion of fear is really only there to protect you from, a train that's coming towards you or a bus. Fear is there to keep you safe from danger. It shouldn't be there to limit your potential. It's yeah, fear as an emotion. If it's fear that you're not feeling to keep yourself safe from danger, it's unresourceful, and it's limiting your possibility. Now, mind the gap. Why have I said that? As we're kind of here establishing where we are and where we want to be, we want to establish the gap. What is it? What is it that's happened this year? Where is it that you're at, and in what you want to achieve? And what is it that you want to? What are you moving towards? In between that is the opportunity. So part of this process is really establishing your now. Where is your life/business today? And part of that is only when you know where it is that you want to take it, or shining the light on where you want to go, is really the first step, or really paves the way to make that first step. And even if it seems really scary and overwhelming to start with, that could not be that. Yeah, I can't. The thought of it overwhelms you, and then you crawl back into your little hiding place. It's really just that first initial step, and sometimes that's just a decision of saying yes. I never thought 6 months ago that I would literally be having a book at a publisher. That was not, it overwhelmed me. It did create fear and self-doubt. But the first step was just saying yes. Then the second step was shown and exposed itself. So in baby steps, it all flourished. And I'm sure you've had experience of that yourself in the past too. Of something that, just think of something that you've achieved in the past that initially you thought, I could never do that. That's not for me, or that's, oh my God. I mean, kids, a lot of you I know are mums thinking before you had kids, oh my God, I can't imagine myself being a parent. It happens incrementally. And before you know it, you've had, this beautiful and welcoming change in your life. So it's in the same way. The first part of the process in saying yes to whatever it is that you want to achieve. So before we begin, and checking in again, is everyone happy? Is um, everyone's okay? Awesome. So before we begin, some questions that you really need to ask yourself. What do I want? What do I want my 2014 to be? What, and also, oh, where are we? What do you want to do? Oh, we're moving a little bit ahead of ourselves. What do you want to do, and what do you want to have that is different to what you are experiencing now? So if you think of your now, what do you want that's different in your new year ahead? This is a brilliant exercise that has been shared on many occasions, and you may have seen and done this in the past. And even if you have, it's always good. I mean, I like to do this kind of every quarter, I like to try to, true, but at least a minimum a couple of times a year, just really check in on where things are at in the wheel of life. And this is really something that creates balance, and gives you the opportunity to see um, where you are wanting to accelerate your path in whatever that area that might be in your life. So we'll focus on business. So if you can see this, I'm not sure if you can see my mouse at all, but really the center is your core. So this is just an example that I found online, but any of these kind of little pies can be anything that you want it to be. So what really the spokes represent, if you look at the circle in the middle, that's pretty much 0, at the end of the line being 10. So what you do, you name them really, it's a personal thing of all the areas of your life. And then as the spokes, you would rate them from 0 to 10. So as you can see, if you can see my little mouse here, say if your personal development, if you've got a keen interest in really developing yourself and your growth, if that's something that's important to you in 20 to 14, where are you at with it now? So again, it's establishing that this really gives you a good visual of establishing the gap. Where are you now, and where do you want it to be? And then once you get all your spokes, all your little lines kind of lined up, and you draw a circle to meet them all, you really see where you can maybe where you've got a perfect balance, and then we can really go off track, and where you may want to look at giving some attention to. So just keeping so hopefully that's really self-explanatory. I'm happy like to go through this more if you have any questions, and again always feel free to post any questions on the control panel there that you can see. So with that, Wheel of Life, will move right along. I really want to share these success principles with you. Now you can see I've put this gorgeous soul on the line on the slide for you. I found this sometime. I was doing some community work for some women just here locally in Dandenong, and I found this I saw this picture. I thought, it caught my attention. There's this rock star granny really rocking the DJ dock, and it literally is a woman in her late 50s that was knocked back, like it was like her grandson's birthday party, and he invited his grandma along at a club. And here they were, she's off to the club with him, and the bouncers refused her entry because they just didn't think it was appropriate for her age, and that she probably couldn't handle the loud music. So after much trepidation on their part, she persisted and really wanted entry, and she got her way. And as soon as she kind of got in there, and the beat of the music just made her feel alive and youthful, and she decided then and there, that's it. That's what I want to do. I want to become a DJ. So at 57, I mean, we talk about career changes and doing something different, and, that old fear of, doing anything new, and, all that stuff that holds us back. Here's this woman that is rocking the international DJ scene, which is quite extraordinary. So with I just wanted to share that because I think it's pretty cool. So so with going back to the success principles, I've called them sales success principle, but these really come from NLP. So NLP is something that I've become a practitioner in, and really just to give you a snapshot of what NLP is. It's short for neuro linguistic programming, and it's literally the study of excellence. Hence, I've named everything. I mean, Institute of Excellence had started being Women's Institute of Excellence, and I did a lot of coaching work with very specific to women. But I really like variety, and for those that know me, I love tourism industry, and I'm I'm really mad for the ballooning business I've managed for the last 10 years. So from Women's Institute, I made the Institute of Excellence, and under that, there's an umbrella of different programs, your tourism excellence being one of them. So the study of excellence, NLP is really the study of excellence, and it explores three things. It explores how we think, which is the neuro part. It explores how we communicate, which is the linguistic part of the neuro-linguistic, and it's really communication, the words that we use, the thoughts that we think, and our patterns of behavior and emotion. So that's really the programming, which is our patterns, our strategies, our body language, and all of the above. So as we go through, I mean, the key things that really I'd love to share with you to get out of this session together today is really manifesting sales and success principles that I've learned through NLP. Really key ingredient that will drive business success, and some popular marketing tools that you can take away to use in your collateral and in your content, and also just in the way that you market yourself and your business. So moving right along to these 5 success principles, I mean, number 1 being, and it always goes back to starting with the end in mind, which is knowing your outcome. What's your desired outcome for the year ahead? Did you set out a desired outcome for this year? Had you sat down and, do you take the time to sit down and think, okay, what do I want to achieve for the year ahead? And it's one thing to ask yourself, what do I want? It's another to actually sit down and put pen to paper and write it down. I loved, someone shared to me some time ago that if you don't write it down, it's merely a wish. And that is so true. Just writing something down really gets you committed to, when we're talking about manifesting, it gets you committed to what you want to achieve. So must write it down. And, and if we're talking business, we're talking dollars, put a target in mind. What is it that you want to achieve? And then you work back from that. Write it down, review it regularly. I certainly like to work out my sales targets in quarters. So it's the big, hairy, audacious one to start with and then break it down into quarters. So now, as we finish, I mean, we're already at the end of our second quarter. So end of our second quarter for the financial year, and obviously as we start, it's a really great time. I'm really, I really enjoy the number crunching at this time of year, and it gives you a good indication of where you're faring up when we're talking kind of financial year. And it's certainly a great time to set the scene for the year ahead. Number 2 is taking massive positive action. So put in the effort, and the best way to get in the outcome that you want is really taking positive action and go through the steps that you need to take it. So whatever your business that you're in, you've really got to, like I said before, action, it doesn't have to be massive. It just has to be something. And anything is better than nothing. I mean, writing a plan is an action, then taking one part of that and bringing that to life is a really great way forward. I mean, take just you being with me, just taking even the action to register for this, having a curiosity about what this is all about is taking action. It's something new. I mean, a lot of people, some said, what's a webinar? Curious, that's a great thing. And then taking an action to actually following through and registering. So if you don't choose an action, and so if you don't choose an outcome and take more of an action and write it down, then, you then you're not really making that commitment. So it's proven over and over again that you generally make a stronger commitment, if anything, to ourselves when we put things down in writing. So it's just it's proven that you have more success in achieving something when you take the time to write it down than if you're just leaving it in your head. And it's one thing to write it, like I said before, constantly reviewing it, okay, this is what I set out to achieve. This is what I set out as my desired outcome. How am I faring up with this? Now, again, is everyone cool? Any questions? And this is really weird, kind of talking to a computer. No one's there talking back at you. And I kind of also hope that it's all working okay. It's saying session's being recorded. It's all on. So I'll carry on. Yeah, if there's any questions, I'm just checking in. So on to number 3. So this one really means increase your awareness. This is really, in technical NLP terms, this is called sensory acuity, which really means sensory awareness. So it's to know if you're being effective. Sensory awareness in knowing that you're being effective. I mean, have you ever experienced that feeling, or when you're sharing something, you're really enthusiastic and you're passionate about it, but you kind of see the person drifting off, or their eyes wander to see what else is happening around the room? Or sensory awareness or acuity is about really reading the play, that, sometimes what you could be talking about, reading the play to kind of say, okay, you're losing the attention of your audience or your client who you're speaking to. So it's really using these senses. I mean, our 5 senses of being, our visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, and gustatory. The main 3 are the visual, auditory, your hearing, and kinesthetic, that feeling that you have, is really using them to read the play and get that feedback. So they provide the best feedback to gauge if your actions are producing useful results. So you've always got to have that wits about you to say, okay, if you're on the other side of, whether it's you're selling to a team or you're selling to, one-on-one, really being switched on to change it up if you see that those things that you might be losing them. So, yeah, I know I found, I think that what I'm selling is wonderful. I mean, it happened to me the other day. I think ballooning, it was something that happened. I had gone on a balloon flight in the morning and then went to a conference afterwards, and I met people for the first time there. And I'm there, I can't remember what they were, but it was certainly not, anyway, I was going on, and yeah, it's that wandering eye and he's like, okay, it's that red alert, got to change the topic. I'm losing them. So yeah, that's what I was like, my sensory acuity is kicking in. Now, number 4, it's very similar. Now, behavioral flexibility, same but different. Now, Richard Bandler, he was the founder of NLP. He was one of the gurus that went out and he studied the top psychologists, top physiologists, top entrepreneurs. He studied every little part of them, and that's how NLP come to be. He studied what it took. What do people at top of their game? What do they do? How do they think, and how do they behave, and put it into a model of kind of a behavioral learning model. So this founder really said, and when I think of behavioral flexibility, this is it. So it's pretty much, if something that you are doing isn't producing the results, the desired outcome that you want, then do anything else. Because if what you're doing isn't working, anything else has more chance of success than that. So I hope that resonates with you. So if anything, so it's that definition of insanity. It's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. It's really like, if you want a different result, you have to stop that behavior and do something different. So if you know your outcome, you've taken positive action to achieve it, and then you have enough sensory awareness to know that you are not getting the results. So you have pretty much, it's at that point you have a choice, and that's a choice to change. So you can either carry on and do the same old thing, or you can go, okay, this isn't working. Snap of the finger, I need to change this, and adopt your behavior until you do something else to get your desired outcome. And that's something that, if something isn't working, do something else. Checking in. Everyone okay? All good. So off to, and the final one is really operating from a physiology and a psychology of excellence. So with that, now the best way to describe this is basically, when we act positive, even if we don't feel like it, we produce positive results. So even if you don't feel it sometimes, if you act positive, you've got a sure better way of getting positive results than if not. A good example is that if you're sitting here listening to me, as you're sitting here, just slump in your chair and just look down. Just slump in your chair and look down. I mean, how does it look? Just notice your breathing. I mean, notice your energy levels. Like, this is, I mean, how does that feel? It doesn't feel great. I know, I mean, I'm sitting here. You can probably even hear it in my voice, I'm slumped down. You're just like, your voice, your tonality goes down. Ugh. Okay. Now, flip side of that, alternatively, if you stand up, so I'll do that right now as I do it. So stand up. Oh, stand up. Chest out, shoulders back, and smile. How does that feel? I mean, gosh. I mean, that's pretty much in a nutshell. If I can sit here, stand and speak to you and smile, it's virtually impossible to feel sad. So even, I mean, it's a great tip. Like if you're not, I mean, some days it's not as easy as others to get up and go and just get on with it. Get up, go, and get on with it. But you just get up, dress up, put a smile on your dial, and even if you don't feel like it, go and do what you have to do to get to that desired outcome. I mean, it's a great principle for every day. I mean, I'll wake up, set your intention for the day. This is really good. Operating from a physiology and a psychology of excellence. It really raises the bar. Because really with this, it's like you think, when you adapt negative physiology, you really have this way. I mean, I know I've experienced it before. When you adapt that negative, I mean, think of that slump. You got to, you can sit there and slump into your chair. You produce negative behaviors. Then conversely, adopting the positive physiology has positive impacts on both our emotional state, and it flows on to our behavior, positive behavior. So act positive, even if you don't feel like it. That's so any checking in, any feedback, any questions, anything you need clarity, want me to clarify, please throw it in the question box. I haven't had anything as yet, so I'm just rolling with it. Hopefully it's all good. But I'll I'll move on right along if you're all happy. So so the key. So now I've just got. I called it key secrets to sales success. These are some key things. I've got about one, two, three, four, five things. I'd like to finish up. I know it can be crazy hour at this time of the day for some of you. So key 7 things. So the first one in sales, I love this. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This Simon Sinek has this brilliant TED Talk. If you just Google TED Talk, Simon Sinek, he's got a TED Talk on how great leaders inspire action. And it's really this whole concept of purpose over profits. So when you're thinking, so this is finding a compelling passion for people, not just for your product and services and what you're selling. It's really what's your big why of why you do what you do. I've dedicated a whole chapter to this in the book. What's your big why is a good, key little secret there. Moving on, it's all about energy. So having energy and enthusiasm, show energy and enthusiasm, which can create possibilities that excite people. Excite people, and there's nothing worse, is there? And I'm not talking about, cheesy, salesy, like energy. I'm talking about just show enthusiasm for what you're doing. I love this. I want to share this. What's the check this guy out. Don't you love that? It's like, yeah, boom, let's do this. I really, when whether it's people that I see presenting or people that when I'm in the market for whatever, I just love when people show their energy and enthusiasm for what they do. I think it's really important in the sales. Think of who. It's more like someone shared the other day. It's like going out there to make friends, not sales. When you're out there, kind of even in the networking arena. So sell to buyers. Sell to your buyer's buying strategy to make a connection. So when I say about buying strategy, it goes back to what we were talking about, that sensory awareness. So we all have a strategy. We all have a strategy for everything that we do. Everything from tying our shoelaces to brushing our teeth in the morning to making a buying decision. If you think about how you purchase, we all have a strategy in doing that. So do your clients. So when you talk about sensory acuity, those you have 3 types of people that are they're either visual, they're kinesthetic feelers like me, or auditory digital. So if you're trying to paint the picture to someone that's an AD, an auditory digital, you're missing that connection. So you're having a less chance of building good rapport with that person than if someone that you can know. And the best way to know with that, someone says, in my case with balloons, I saw your balloons and I'd like to have some more information. I feel there's someone that's visual. I'm anyone that uses the word see or saw, and I feel I'm so excited. I'm so excited to go on my balloon flight, or I'm so happy to be speaking with you. Can I have some more information? I know that they're more of the kinesthetic, or they say, more IT people, they're auditory digital. Give me information. Give me the stats. So that's the auditory digital. So that's what I mean by this one. Selling to your buyers' buying strategy and taking the time as you elicit them to know how they like to be sold to, depending on those key things. So who is your target market? Do you take the time out to know who is your ideal client? Who do you want to be doing business with? Taking the time out to know who your avatar is another way. I mean, I'll speak a little bit more in the last 15 minutes. Who is your avatar? And to, knowing, really taking the time to know who you want to work with and who your target is will quickly differentiate between a buyer and a tie kicker. It really is it saves you time. I mean, you don't want to be wasting time with the wrong people. You want to be doing business with the clients that you want to be working with, and asking great questions. Asking great questions to match what you offer to the need of your client is a really key thing. I mean, that's a cute picture that I found. But yeah, through elicitation with your clients, I mean, really, what I like to think of especially with small businesses, is that you're providing a solution to a problem. And that's what you want to be. That's the approach that you want to be taking when you're in the sales. You want to be going there to add value and give them a solution to all their problems. That's what you're doing in whatever industry that you're in, really. So the key ingredient. So we've covered a few things. We've covered the sales, key ingredient to business. I think it all comes down to values. When values, I mean, this is not only for knowing what I value most personally has made the biggest difference, even in the working environment. Even with our business and our workplace at Global Ballooning, once we got so clear on what we valued most, boy oh boy, does it make put everything else into place. It's such a great foundation for any business. So if you haven't taken the time, it's a brilliant thing to do, especially at this time of year as you're moving, turning over a new leaf for a brand new fresh year. What do we value most as a business and for yourself? And then I've put for you just some benefits of getting clear on these values. 3 key benefits. I share some more in the book, but 3 key benefits that I've found is it keeps you congruent. It eliminates negativity and helps attract great people. I mean, so with congruency, when you think the benefit, I mean, it keeps everyone aligned. So a clear set of value keeps you aligned to purpose. Your values are your guiding principles. It's your yardstick. I mean, I call it like this yardstick of excellence. These are our values. It's the barometer of what we are all striving to achieve. And and it's even, when you're measuring your own performance, or if you're managing a team and managing their performance, this is a great way to kind of keep performances connected. Are you living our values and the purpose? Eliminates negativity. Again, when it's all positively framed, and values, I mean, I think anything, I mean, we all want to keep it in the positive. Establish and enforces behavioral expectations of your team, even if you are just husband and wife, even if you are just on your own, or if you're in medium range or managing a larger team. Having a core set of values that you've all agreed on. You've all said, yep, this is what we're going to go by from now on. It eliminates negativity and toxicity. Sometimes, I mean, this is just as much as enthusiasm is contagious, so is negativity, and you want to eliminate that from your workplace or the business that you're building. And And this is the best one that I've found. Through getting really clear on our values, it's attracted some brilliant people because we're all congruent. Going back to that first one, we're all congruent and in line with what we're doing and what we believe and our purpose. So that's made all the difference. So to share that one. So we've covered success principles, way to create some sales magic, and we've covered some values. So let's really look at setting some goals. So I'm going to fly through some goal setting. So when we look at goals, we really want to, when you're setting them, the best way to achieve your big, hairy, audacious, awesome goal for the year ahead. This is how it's been taught to me, and this is how I certainly do it every year, is I go for the big one. What is it? And I used to break it down into two, but now I like to break it down into 4 components. But to start with, it's like go for your big one. Again, remember, really important to write it down. If you've got in your 2014 diary, somewhere in the back or somewhere in there, go and write that, what it is you want to achieve, and then work back for every quarter. So now it's time, like for myself, I'm reflecting on the quarter that was, so that we've had, it's the end of the quarter. So I'm reviewing how things are going to what we set out for the big one, and also setting the goals for the quarter ahead. So we've got a new year, and it's also a new quarter that starts in Jan. So break it down into 4 components. So start with the end in mind. Remember, know your outcome. Get what's the desired outcome that we want to achieve, and let's work backwards from that. So how to start? The key to setting a goal for anything is to make them time-bound, measurable, and written. So I know SMART goals. I'm not going to go into SMART. If you don't know what SMART is, you want them. It's a formula for goal setting. So everyone likes to do it different, but this is a brilliant way to really keep. It's a really good way to make it specific. Make your goal specific. That's the S. Measurable is the M. Achievable is the A, or attainable. Realistic, you don't want to, if you're earning or turning over $50,000 and you say, I want to, the end of next year, make $50 million, that's probably not that realistic, to achieve. I'm all for positive thinking, but that's, the R is there to keep us grounded, that although we want to stretch ourselves, we still want to keep it real. And T is for timely, like setting a time. So set specific goals with outcomes. So when we know your outcome, this is when now we're actually setting specific goal to it. Set a deadline for your goal and write them down. A must. Can't stress that enough. So an example of this, I'll share with you. As I was putting this presentation together, as we kind of wrap these up, I thought, what's something I can share with the guys? So say, this is a really good way that it was taught to me again. And this is how I set my goals now in writing. So for next year, so a year from now, it's December 10th, 2014. I have sold the second print run of my book. Why not? I've just delivered my 12th webinar, and the team at Global Ballooning are 15% up on their sales target and on track to sell a record number of gift vouchers for Christmas. I feel proud and accomplished, and I'm looking forward to a family holiday in Hawaii. Like I said, it's something that you want to stretch. So, saying 15% up on our target, like that would be an awesome thing to achieve. So why not? I've written it down now as this is now for next year. Having done, just assessed all our goals for this year, and it's all looking on track. But again, it was great because I had it there already set in place, so to review. So moving right along. So what can I? This is something. Not. This is something I want you to ask yourself. What can I accomplish over the next 90 days that will make me feel good about myself? Because at the end of the day, I want these to make you feel really great about what you're doing. And a common trait, so this is like I think it was a study from Stanford or somewhere, a common trait in high performing people is that they, one, set specific goals with outcome, that they set a deadline for their goals, and that they write them down, everything that we shared before. So I set a goal. So I set goals at the beginning of each quarter. So I have that big one at the end of the year, and then I break them down into four. So, set a personal goal, business, family, and relationship, and probably put three for each of those things. And that's what keeps you. Family, I used to just do personal and business, but now as life gets, juggling family, business and all of those things. I set goals for family. I'd like to set goals to spend some quality time with each of my children, spending time, with my relationship with my husband. It's just as important to set goals. It's really setting the time of, I don't know, you can say goals or just things that you want to accomplish, what you can accomplish. I want to spend that. I want to have a weekend away over this next 3 months with my husband. Okay, I've said it. I've put it down in writing. Now you can make it happen. If it doesn't get scheduled, it doesn't get done. If you're just thinking about it, you can wait years and it won't happen. So push yourself as high as you can go. The goals don't have to be huge. They can be small and achievable steps. It's just important that they stretch you. It's important, that's where the growth is. So as we're talking, when I just wanted to spend the last 5 minutes just really talking about marketing in your business. So when we talk about marketing, it's really everything to do with the customer. It's everyone's business in your organization, and especially in smaller enterprises. Marketing is everything. And also, there's something that it's also something that is really, you talk about who your best marketers are. It's how big or small you are. It's you and your team and your customers. Your customers are your best marketers. So when you're really getting clear on your marketing activity, these are some of the questions that are really good to ask. Sit down and spend some time asking yourself, what do your customers expect? What are they actually experiencing? Are you seeking feedback? Are you asking your clients and your customers what they think about your service? That's the best way to grow your business. Seeking feedback always. What emotions do your customers feel? What stories are they telling their friends? And how can the culture of your business, that was a bit of a create more stories and memories, particularly in the tourism industry. So I mentioned it before. We're always looking at when we look at our business and as solving problems and adding value, then it's we're really it's a better proposition. So when I mentioned before, part of this process too is really getting insanely curious about your customer. I mentioned the word avatar before, and it really is about who your ideal client is. What do they want? What are their secret desires? What keeps them up at night? How do they want to be seen? Who are they? and what motivates them. I could go on and on and on. They're just really good things to sit down and ask about who your ideal customer is. And going back to that sales, when you know who it is that you're really targeting, when you're so specific. I mean, I've spoken to marketers, they know their customer so well. It's like they can tell you her name's Jane, she's 23 years old, she lives in Sunbury, or it's that specific. And then you know where your time can be. So what's your business? I mean, certainly it's taken me a while. It's taken me like 7 years out of the 10 to realize that even for our ballooning business, we're not in the business of hot air ballooning, or we're not even a tourism business. We're in the experience and emotion business. We're in the stories and memories business. I mean, even just saying that, it makes me happy. It makes the way I look at our product differently. It's not just a hot air balloon, it's so much more than that. And so is what you do. Take the time. What is your business? What are you really selling? How are you making your customers feel? So, as we wrap things up, what's the larger vision of your what's the larger vision and greater purpose in your work beyond money and profits? So, I mean, if we had enough time and you had enough time to brainstorm, if I go back to it, what's the larger vision and greater purpose in your work beyond the cashola? It's to be happy. Sorry, I'm going a bit of a to be happy. So as we look at 2014, and as we wrap things up, what changes are you prepared to make? So change ahead. It is. We can't deny it. What are you prepared to make? And more importantly, what are you prepared to do? It's time for action. What are you prepared to do? Only you know. I mean, I've given you some great tools. I hope you found value in really bringing the doing to life, and it's all in the doing. I love something, you can't. It's like you can never learn to swim in a book. You can study, 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 but it's not until you get in the in the water that that you actually can learn. So, what are you prepared to do to elevate your results and reach your desired outcomes in 2014? So, as this has been brought to you by Despina, thank you. It's all about learning. It's all about growing, sharing, and contributing. And I really that this in a nutshell encapsulates my purpose for putting this out there. It came with fear. It came with fear. It came with apprehension, and it came with a lot of, I sat on my hands on this webinar for weeks and weeks, and yeah. But this was my main intention. So as we leave things, I shared this with my team the other day. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So important when we're dealing with customers and really offering experiences, particularly in tourism. I love this quote. It's got so much truth in it. So there we are, right on 7:30, just a minute over. Thank you so much for listening and for being here with me. I've set a next webinar to do in Jan. It's all about getting social. I've got some things in place that I really want to introduce in 2014 for myself, and it's all about, for me, I loved it. I heard this talk the other day, and he said we're in a sharing economy. And the more abundant we are in sharing what we know and learning together and growing together, I mean, having a real attitude of abundance as opposed to scarcity, the more we can kind of achieve in a community than we can do in a, flying solo. So I'm hoping to really, that's my one of my big intentions of bringing people together, particularly businesses, to succeed in 2014. So there's some of the pages that I manage. There's the little book that's coming out, and certainly looking forward to having that in my hot little hand. So stay connected. Please give me feedback. I want feedback, raw, honest feedback. If you got something out of this, let me know. If you didn't, let me know. And that's and thank you. Okay, we'll call it a wrap. Thanks heaps. Bye.